And that's we say that's the exciting thing about a 3-team group, but it can also be a very dangerous thing for any team playing in it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Import's backpack a win here, as you say, secures them first place in this group, but then it will all come down to Animosity versus Ronin, which will be our next game after this one as well, which could decide that final spot. One of these teams does get eliminated with a third place finish. It's the top two that advanced. It's just the way how it goes. But we have got a draft coming up here as well. Imports Backpack versus Animosity. Imports Backpack taking that first pick and first ban as well. Going to be taking away the Rampage this time. I mean, Import did have quite a mixed bag on that game. I think that was fair to say. Mano had a bit, started off strong, bit iffy in the mid game, but then that objective steal and it was all just Import that we know and love.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you get given an opportunity, you still need to capitalize. Like we did, Tang talked a little bit about how it was kind of a problem that Steel wasn't blocking the pit a little bit more, but you still need to capitalize. You just still need to realize that you can still go for it in that situation. So Import taking that. I mean, Rampage and Richter being banned out, not super fussed or surprised about that right now. Twin Blast comes out, very staple ADC. I mean, it's going to be the ADC unless they want to surprise us for some reason. And then Animosity can put up their duo. No Decker ban, so they will be able to pick that up. That's really nice.
Yeah, I'm actually quite surprised to see the Twin Blast come this early on in the draft. I mean, normally these picks are reserved for likes of taking Chimera, taking Bellica, taking Decker, as Animosity does. I mean, we also saw the Sevarog being picked up quite early on as well. Steel as well, another one of them power picks available. So just quite surprised me to see that the Twin Blast being taken this early. But honestly, Julie had a pretty good game on the Twin Blast, and that Import more than happy to kind of allow a lot of these power picks to still be available. Decker Steel locked in for Animosity.
Yeah, and it's not just the power picks, right? Like a lot of the time, why these picks are so powerful, or a lot of these picks are powerful, is either because they're really good in their respective role, or because they potentially fulfill multiple roles. We think about Bellica, for example, or even a Richter. They are more flexible in which lane you're going to play them potentially. Import's going to pick up that Kwang. I mean, yeah, makes sense. Kwang is pretty good at the moment. Did really well in the last game versus Import. So now I just want to make sure that they don't have to deal with that again. And they even will pick up the Sevarog. So it's not going to be a Kwang offlane, it looks like.
Well, I mean, we still have that potential, actually, with that Sevarog going in towards the jungle. I mean, is this going to be one of them tournaments where we spoke about how flexible this Kwang pick can be, and you're going to get kind of all three flavors in the same day? That'd be quite awesome to see as well.
Could be really cool. Yeah.
Kwang support has been tried out in scrims and a bit limit tested as well. I know some of the scrims we recently watched, we did get to see it in action, but already a very strong lineup for Imports Backpack, and Animosity wanting to secure the Drongo early this time, deciding not to risk it being banned away. In the upcoming ban phase as well. So we have our top three heroes for both of these teams looking towards the ban phase. And, that flex potential might be a bit of an issue for the ban phase, but the mid lane still feels like a pretty open field to ban away. And Bellica, again, like it's kind of crazy to me how much of a power pick Bellica has been historically, and here she is surviving all the way down to the second phase of bans.
Yeah, does get banned out eventually, which I do think hurts Imports Backpack more than it does Animosity, which is obviously your goal when you're trying to ban things out. And they will take away the Chimera, meaning that no junglers, a lot of favoritism in the jungle is now being gone. Both Rampage and Chimera being out. There's, of course, still options left, but it's becoming a little less standard for a lot of these players. And jungle doesn't seem to often be a very big focus in terms of like a double ban on one of the teams. So it's been a very interesting draft so far, and it just keeps on giving, I guess.
Yeah, we're going to be seeing Greystone for the first time as well. So with that pairing with the Steel as well, like both of these can flex in towards jungle and flex in towards that off lane as well. Narbash going to be picked up here. This Kwang, Sevarog, and Narbash, the three huge frontliners, and to top it all off, Wraith going to be picked up. So this is actually most likely going to be Twin Blast in the mid lane, I want to wager.
Yeah, I mean, you were saying like, oh, Twin Blast early, that doesn't really feel like one of those flexible picks or like a prio pick in that sense. But the way they've now drafted, it makes a lot of sense of why they do it because it kind of comes out of left field. Like all of a sudden, you have the Wraith potentially be the ADC and Twin Blast in the mid lane. It becomes a very different story in that sense. And yeah, Kwang in the jungle looks also to be very likely. We've seen Sevarok do it too, so they still have that flex option. But yeah, with what they see on the other side, they can make their informed decision. Do we rather
Mm.
play against the Steel or the Greystone? In which role? They could even switch it up. And both teams have that option, but that flexibility is way more present for Imports Backpack.
Yeah, absolutely. Here, so both of these compositions are going to be rounded off. That Gideon pickup for Animosity to go into the mid lane. Not going to throw a mid lane decker curveball this time. So it looks to be a pretty standard lane. Bottom three members of Animosity, at least from mid lane through to that duo side. But then, as you mentioned, that Steel and also that Greystone, we still have a potential. But I think Imports Backpack are maybe not too concerned, I want to say, about either of these picks here. It's not something kind of absolutely crazy and out of left field. These are very standard picks that with a lot of experience that both of these teams have got playing into and also playing against as well. I just want to ask before we hop into the game as well, once again, Twitch chat, let us know, where do your allegiances lie for this game? Do Imports Backpack secure first place in Group A, or do Animosity make this the spiciest group of all and potentially lead us into a three-way tie? Let us know. ManofClass, final thoughts on both of these drafts. What are you thinking?
I think they both eventually got what they wanted in a lot of ways. I don't know. Is I don't think either draft is particularly outweighing the other, but there is a very big danger. Of course, is what we always see when you put basically put two ADCs on the field. Is they can both scale, but you also have the opportunity to shift which one you're going to make like sort of the main carry, and with your AP carry, your ability power carry sort of missing. Um, it's becoming a really bit of a different game. It's going to be a little easier potentially to itemize against on the other side for imports back, sorry, for animosity. But yeah, if you let either of them get out of hand, it's going to be really tricky.
You can see here as we drop down in towards the game once again. Game number 2, Imports Backpack versus Animosity, and we do get some answers at least. So Import is going to be taking the Kwang into the jungle for this game as well, and that leaves Noz once again getting another game on that Sevarog. But to answer the flexibility on Animosity side, Mr. GooRoo going to be given the Greystone, and Nerf is going to be impacting the map on that Steel pick as well. Lots to look
Yeah,
forward to here.
that was, I mean, that was going to be like the psychological warfare that was going on, right? Like both teams sort of predicting which of those off lane slash junglers was going to go where. Turns out that potentially Imports Backpack had the psychological advantage, being like, oh, we can send either into this jungle. Who do you think it's going to be, and who do you think is going to lane up against what we don't send to the jungle best? And Animosity then eventually turning up with these two.
And just want to see how this map is going to play out. I mean, if game 1 is anything to go by, at least we have got that more immediate data to us as well with Imports Backpack. It was Imports ganking that mid lane often and early to try and get Wangle ahead, but maybe it is a little bit of a weakness here. It's going to be a switch around. I was expecting Twin Blast to be in the mid lane. It's going to be Wraith in the mid lane against Kalipito on this Gideon as well. I'm still expecting probably Import to be very much pitching his tent inside of this lane. Does feel like the game plan from Import's Backpack. So it'd be interesting to see how Animosity play around that, especially with something like a Steel, which, as we know, wants to get a couple of levels under their belt before they really start to impact.
Yeah, I mean, for now, we just gotta gotta wait it out, right? And it's an interesting thing having Greystone versus Sevarog in a lot of ways because both of them are sort of needing to scale. Like Greystone, before you get that level 6, it's very tricky to actually fight against your opponent's solo lane in a lot of ways. And then you have to wait for a Sevarog. Yeah, usually also have to wait to scale a little bit with your stacks. So then both having to wait puts Greystone in this very awkward position where now Sevarog can sort of take the aggression And that is going to probably come back to bite him, or at least look up. Now we get in the mid lane this engagement.
Ooh, there's that gank. Yeah, Import
that
finding that tether. And even with a ward down, Kalipito did not respect the damage coming out. First blood once again goes towards Import's backpack. It's on Import.
Yeah, it was very good timing combination of abilities. That was what that really came down to. Now let's do it. Puts up the gates, trying to get away, but Import just comes in again.
Yeah, it goes from mid over towards left-hand side. Tether landing on towards Lezduit, having to blink away. So Import not only finds the kill, but also burns resources in this left-hand side. Import, again, just fired up after that game one is what I'm going to put it down to. Is there's only the one kill, but already making the moves. As you can see, Nerf is on the right-hand side. Mr. GooRoo versus Noz. GooRoo winning the best out of that trade, at least forcing the Sevarog back. But Import's backpack are the ones who have got the kills on the board.
Yeah, Noz is going to be able to play on the tower for a little bit, but that does mean we get some extra space, mobility, and vision control here for Mr. GooRoo, putting a ward down in that red jungle over there. Really nice. Nerf being able to pick up the Scion buff as a result, and it's going to be a very nice space control moment for Animosity here, at least in the solo lane. But with that elimination down for Import's backpack and the control they already put out in the dual lane, this is currently the one lane that they're actually in control of.
Yeah, we'll be wanting to see how they start to leverage it as well. I mean, with Mr. GooRoo, maybe with early rotations. I mean, we're looking ahead now towards these neutral objectives starting to spawn. The FangTooth is going to be dropping in about 30 seconds time. Mini Prime is just a couple of minutes away, still at that 7-minute mark. And we have seen some explosive team fights around those neutral objectives here. But right now, again, I think it just comes down to maybe the picks here for Animosity is that they're more happy to kind of just sit back and not be the proactive team and kind of try and weather this storm.
And a lot of what Animosity can play off of is that they will eventually be able to trap both Wangle and the Twin Blast also a little bit, right? Like they're going to be able to try and single those out a little bit more. The silence is going to be very important from coming out from the Drongo, but also there's the hard CC and the tankiness of Greystone. And while there is that sort of health and the damage threat on the other side, there is more squishiness in those damage dealers, especially from the Wraith, but also to a large degree from the Twin Blast. So JuliLatina has to be a little bit careful about that. But, you know, that's what your Narbash, your Sevarog are for, right? Just be big bodies, be in the way, and help with the sustain.
And we get to see as well with why that Narbash was banned away from Import's backpack in that first game as well. Zeyn able to pilot it. A bit like that Murin, in the sense you have to wait a little bit with those abilities, get the levels, get the XP to really start to feel that benefit. Zeyn knows going to pull the trigger with the Funk onto Lezduit. Doesn't have the blink available to them. Double jump into the air. Wangle coming from behind. It looks like he's able to get the kill, but CynicUK is at least answering back. There's going to be a 1-for-1. Now CynicUK is stuck between Wangle and Julie. Is just going to hit the abilities down. CynicUK trying to get damage on towards Wangle, but there's only one way that's going, and that's CynicUK back towards his spawn. Wangle finding another kill.
Yep, 2 ADCs versus 1. Even with it, when you have the same, same amount of XP, etc., you're still usually gonna lose out if it's a 2v1 in that situation. But still, nice rotation coming out from the mid lane. We'll put a little pressure on this tower, but looks like Import is ready to just clear away real quick, make sure that tower doesn't get pushed in too far. And that's the trust you need to have in your jungler. The communication as well, being like, hey, I'm going to rotate. Just make sure my tower doesn't get pushed in too far. Very nicely done.
Yeah, and I think I just want to go back to that point as well that you made just before the draft. As I want to, Noz going to throw the colossal blow, puts Mr. GooRoo underneath the tower, but has hit that level 6 at least. It has Stoneforge Soul available. Probably going to feel a little bit more confident inside of this lane. But you were mentioning about this honeymoon period. Are these teams, big names being thrown together? Are they going to perform? Is thrown together and it works? This is really the game to figure that out. At least game number 2. It's already been a very strong start of Import's backpack, but if it's anything like that first game against Ronin, there's plenty more predecessors to be played.
Yeah, for sure. And you and Tang were talking about it before the first game started, right? Like, what do we expect from these games? Who's going to get out on top? As Noz and GooRoo are just going to skirmish off a little bit in this solo lane, I don't think anyone's going to really die there. they are
Zeyn's
safe
going
in
to
the
go
tower.
in. There's the blink, and Nerf's going to go with the shield slam. His first gank is going to look towards the back line, but Import is here. Throws the ult down. Juli's got to be careful. Forced to blink away, but that is at least the Twin Bastard getting to safety. Iron Strike going to come down, slow on towards Zeyn. Nerf can't connect the CC, but Lezduit is going to have to do it himself and picks up a kill on his opposite support. And it's only going to be the one kill in that duo lane.
Finally, a little pressure coming out as well on that dual lane from the side of Animosity. It had been a little quiet from the jungle roam, but now they are finally able to put that down. Still going to see a little bit more mobility coming out from the mid lane. That Gideon has been really stuck under the tower a lot of the time. Hasn't really felt safe to move after that first gank that came through. It's understandable. I mean, you get caught almost under your tower as Gideon. Doesn't feel really all too good, but Kalipito will be able to eventually scale a little bit, feel a little bit more comfortable. But yeah, you know, we were talking a little bit about how this game is going to develop into the late game or the mid game even, because we've barely hit mid game so far. And now these objectives are coming online. This is where they're going to start looking to like, hey, we gotta get 1 or 2 picks, then rotate through the objective and go further, or they could just start trading objectives, right? And then we get into the discussion of first FangTooth, or do you want to get that mini prime? Like, what is your preference? And that also depends on how long it takes before you get those objectives finally.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, we talked about these objectives and looking forward to them as well. But if it's anything like game one, and keep calling back to, we have to wait 8 minutes after the all prime spawn for anything to really happen here. North just waiting to try and get some stacks on that solo side. Nerf was here, at least decided to call away from the gank and actually going to move towards the mini prime as GooRoo, getting a little bit of priority and also some prio in mid as well. Wangle is on the reset, so this looks like the first move towards a neutral objective at least, but it's only Nerf hitting on towards the mini prime. Hasn't got Kalipito here or Mr. GooRoo just yet, but thankfully Nerf is a little bit tanky, but here comes Kalipito to get the damage in, but Import is knocking around here, and also with Nerf going fairly low to this mini prime as well. Having to be careful here. 3v1 as Import's going to go in and he's actually going to steal the mini prime. Import gets in the pit and steals a neutral objective. And what about the fight? Nerf is down and Kalipito throws down the black hole, trying to answer some kills back. It's both junglers are down, 1 for 1. Kalipito, the next target, blinks over the wall, 1 for 1. But Import is the one who gets that neutral objective. And now Wangle having to deal with Mr. GooRoo. The blink away. Noz looking to re-engage and a blink away also from Mr. GooRoo. Wangle goes low as the Gideon starts to hit the damage. They're going to disengage.
You know, the dual lane, they go at it as well. Get the twin blast out of it. JuliLatina going down. Unfortunately, did get eliminated by the Decker instead of the Drongo. It's not what you optimally want to see, but it kills the kill in that situation. Now they get put a lot of pressure on this tower. It's already taken a little bit of damage, but now they can make it take a little bit more, potentially take it down. It looks like that might actually be possible for them. But there is a Quan coming in from the back.
Yeah, Zeyn has to be careful, but Import is here. He has got that mini, he doesn't have the mini prime, it was lost. Tether does connect on towards Cynic, Gag Grenade thrown down. Cynic does not have the mana, really does not want to fight this. He's able to at least get away, as it looks like Import's intervention does save the tier 1 tower in the left-hand side, and it also forces the dual lane for Animosity to back away. Import trying to catch anyone, going for a lazy recall, but members of Animosity get away.
Will not get an elimination this time around. It's honestly quite impressive that they were able to get away with that. I mean, they had the mobility left to get out, but the fact that they did get out is still pretty good. And it's going to be another objective here for the side of Import's backpack. It looks as no one's going to be able to challenge this. And you know, they just stole the mini prime. Now they're also going to get FangTooth. Usually we'll see a trade go on between these objectives, but that was just a really solid play there coming out from Import that secures them now a double objective for the first go around. And it's going to be a fair few minutes before there's going to be a next chance for Animosity to try and take either of them.
And if there's anything we love more in Predecessor, it's going to be a nice objective dance as well, as we have to wait for that to come in as well. Nerf, though, making a move over towards the left-hand side. Zeyn does hit the front on towards Cynic. Iron Strike coming down. Can't get the lockdown on towards Zeyn. He throws down the Crash Bamboon. Looking for the knock-up. Can't find it. The drum solo interrupted. Import now with the rotation. Trying to get the kill on towards Cynic. But Import dealing with Nerf. And Nerf is looking to get the kill with the shield slam. He's able to buy it. Wangle from the mid lane. Needs to connect the knock-knock shots. But cannot find them. And now Nerf is still hitting on towards Juli. Kalipito is here once again. Juli turning around this fight. A 2v2. But look at the health bar starting to blink. A stasis bomb from downtown, cannot find it, but Wangle can find his knock-knock shot. The setback will also get Kalipito away, who even gets the kill onto Wangle to add insult to injury. Kalipito going forward, can't confirm the kill on towards Julie. That's just going to be picks in the left-hand side. Meanwhile, was all that going on, a wet noodle fight, but Mr. GooRoo is having to back away. Animosity coming in clutch.
Very heavy rotation from Animosity. Like, they had a lot of players over there at the same time, and those are moves we don't see a lot of teams pull off correctly or successfully, and they managed to do it, only losing one in the process. Very impressively done, especially with those low health bars. That blink that came out from Twin Blast to get away from things, that was so clutch. It was so close to getting eliminated, but unfortunately for Import, just enough health left to get away with it, and Import was in a little bit of trouble, eliminated for their transgressions, the overextension almost, and I got nothing in return.
Yeah, just not able to provide that damage on that combination. And kind of maybe a bit of the weakness with the Quang is that if you're able to survive, if you're able to at least deal with that, with the Tether hitting and the Fury of the Heavens, it's like, okay, Quang's just gonna hit me with my sword. I'm just gonna kite away from him as well. So maybe that is something that Animosity can play around as well. And also with the Steel pick as well, able to just CC Import should his transgressions be punished once again. Import is on this left-hand side. Nerf making a move towards the mid lane once again. Wangle does have to be careful, but it looks like Kalipito wants to go for the reset, so no gank happening in the mid lane. Just going to be teams starting to posture around once again. No neutrals on the board, and no one really overstepping just yet. Just a bit of a knowledge game.
So far, still going fairly back and forth. A little bit of a power lead right now for Animosity, but nothing too great, nothing too worrying for Import's backpack. We've seen this before. Literally last game, very similar situation at this stage of the game. They were looking a little bit behind, but we know they can skill. We know that they're a team that knows how to play together and to not give too much away. And they're very good around the objectives. I mean, like we said, they already got the double. Might as well try and get another 2, right? Once the timers hit. It's a couple of minutes away, at least for the FangTooth and then the Mini Prime as well. So gonna be looking out for those objectives. Right now it's a little bit of a skirmish, but Animosity really wants to push this dual lane tower. It's so low. They really need to get it at some point.
Yeah, for sure. That's just to open up that left-hand side of the map a little bit more. Noz and GooRoo, once again, the traditional back and forward, but with Import here, throws down the Stoneforge Soul. Mr. GooRoo gets damage down and a blink away, but Import's presence is going to force a resource to be blown on that right-hand side. But there's a big grouping up coming up here as Nerf is able to move with the dual lane in towards the mid, and Wangle at least respects that. Has got the black buff, giving him the bonus move speed to get away. Trying to get a pick on towards the mid laner for Import's backpack. Not going to find it just yet, but this grouping coming out here is Lezduit remains with the jungle, wondering what they're going to move here, maybe towards that Mini Prime on the spawn. I mean, Wangle has to be so careful moving into the river like that. Kalipito just watching. They have the movement. Lezduit can't find the stasis bomb, just goes wide. Still has containment fence available, but also the beam can't find the pick. Zeyn answers rotation. So does Import, and Animosity having to back away. Wangle with a blink forward by the looks of things, just can't find the setback, can't hit that ultimate, and it's just going to be the blink.
A couple of towers going down in the last few minutes. The first towers of the game, obviously, but there will be 3 missing in a couple of seconds from those minions. Oh, they don't actually get it. I really thought they were going to get the Soul Link Tower. Guess not. But yeah, I mean, Mini Prime is up right now. FangTooth is about to spawn. They were trying to see, can we maybe go for a cheeky, Prime capture on that Mini Prime? Didn't quite come out. They felt it was a little more important to try and pressure Wangle out of that mid lane. And now we're going to get that dance again. The FangTooth pit, they're going to start it right now, or Import's backpack. And the choice is very much on Animosity. Do you want to challenge this? You want to try and go for that Mini Prime? And it looks like the challenge is very much incoming here.
Yeah, GooRoo is going to be behind on rotation. Noz is already here. 4 versus 5 Imports and Zeyn inside the pits. The Song of People keeping him topped up. As Noz is going to go in. Does take half his HP, but keep going. That's going to be FangTooth secured for the side of Import's backpack, and a good tether is going to be the death on towards Lezduit, and now Nerf is going to go on towards Julie, trying to get the kill, but the Colossal Blow comes out. Nerf is just booped away, and now Noz on the hunt once again, needs to hit a subjugate. Nerf is in trouble. Nerf is going to go down. Group up from 3 as Import's going to go in, looking to use the life from the heavens, going for the slow as well. Still waiting for the still waiting for the lights of the heavens, still waiting for his ability to come back up. Another tether lands onto GooRoo. Stoneforge Soul going to come out. They've already got the kill on towards Kalipito, and now all members turn their attention towards Mr. GooRoo. Julie benefits from the kill. 3 members going to drop, and the FangTooth secured for Import's backpack.
Actually it was 4 because Lezduit has already respawned from getting eliminated in the pit. So they get 4 eliminations for their trouble there. And what looked like a pretty good lead or a pretty good position for Animosity once again falls apart because of that objective control from Import's backpack. They're able to pull it off once again. They might just be able to go for a mini prime right now, just take another double. And Animosity is going to be further and further behind in that respect. And it's, yeah, I mean, I would say it's not looking good, but it's definitely not looking bad just yet. They're just having to find a way to get these team fights going. Their map rotations have been looking good. There's not a lot of teams, like I said, they're able to pull off these group rotations sort of effectively, successfully. And so far, they have not been hurt by it. And that's a really good thing to see from them. A lot of promising situations for the late game. They just were... There was a couple of members that were either a little out of position, overextending, maybe the communication wasn't quite right. Like, Lezduit going down the way they did in that FangTooth pit. They were kind of out of alone in no man's land in that FangTooth pit, and that feels like it was a miscommunication problem, which can happen if you haven't played too much together.
Oh yeah, absolutely here. But one thing we can also see as well, Import with another gank on towards Kalipito, but thankfully it is a Gideon. So they're going to be very thankful they drafted it. It's going to be able to get away, but Wangle hits the knock, and that's going to be the Kalipito dropping underneath his tower, but now a re-engage coming down. Rift Walkers from Lezduit combining with Nerf and Cynic, able to pump the damage down and get the kill onto Zeyn. On the hunt for Wangle, on the hunt for Import once again. Nerf leading the charge. Shield Slam comes down. There's the knock up. Cynic with a shrapnel cannon able to take down Wangle. Animosity looking to answer back, but now Import is a tether onto 3. Noz is here. Good surge, good double knock up, but a ball rush causes so much disruption, and Cynic gets a double kill inside of that fight. Noz gets away, but it's going to cost 3 members in that right-hand side red jump.
Once again, this low health bar control on the side of Animosity is really cool to see. They're able to just get away with it. They do have to, like, this is the downside of this grouping up. Like I was saying, they aren't really giving up too much of it, but they've now lost 2 towers on that dual lane because they were grouping up, because Cynic wasn't there, or because Lezduit wasn't there. Like, neither of them really been able to deal with that wave. Now your tier 2 tower is down in that situation. It's not a great spot to be in, especially when you keep losing these objectives. They have caught a couple of these kills back, so they are at least even in the elimination score. But takedowns are not all that it takes to win a game, and objectives are gonna have to be a thing that Animosity has to step it up for.
Oh, absolutely. Just having a look at the tower situation, as say Julie was able to take down tier 2 tower in the left-hand side. Mid lane still standing, right-hand side solo lane has also fallen as well for Animosity. Look for Import's backpack. They've only lost mid and left for now. That tier 1 tower, Noz's tower, being reliably stubborn at this point, not taking too much damage either, at least. But Noz has just been in that lane for these fights, able to get the farm moving and also rotating as well, picking his moments to rotate so he's not losing too much farm. Another grouping coming out in the mid lane once again as we go back towards a little bit of a lull state here, as we have a bit of a technical pause as well, which with the replay system, it should just kickstart itself very quickly. As you can see, it's starting to move. Up. There we go, maybe. Yeah, there we go. We're all back. Nothing really missed either. But again, a lot of grouping, a lot of posturing here.
Yeah, once again, you can see this, Animosity sort of reacting to this pressure that's been coming on the dual lane while they've been dealing elsewhere. And, of course, FangTooth is once again close to spawning. While Orb Prime is up, it is the full Prime, which is a lot harder to take, especially when we're, just at that 21, 22-minute mark. And you do really need to find like a partial team wipe, or like a lot of eliminations to feel comfortable just walking into the pit there. But the FangTooth, very much an objective that they'll kind of want to go for, and that's why that vision, you can see everyone putting wards around that pit right now.
Yeah, but you've even got Nerf over on that left-hand side. Resets from the duo lane coming out. So that is going to be Cynic and also Lezduit, at least in a little bit of a stronger position for this fight. But Import's backpack, they want the third FangTooth as well. They want that 8% stacked physical power, magical power, and also physical and magical resistances as well. They're keeping control over this Fang pit as well. Lezduit able to scout out ahead. Nerf goes in with a shield slam, looking to try and get a pick on towards the back line. Lezduit, another Rift Walker's play, another combination, but can't finish it when he's back in his spawn. There's going to be Wangle getting that first kill. Good knock up on towards Nerf. Kalipito coming in with the black hole. Zeyn having to be careful. Looks like the Narbash might be able to escape and will with his life. Cynic getting the kill to one import. Jungle is down, but Nerf isn't feeling too healthy either. Cynic actually going to lose his life. Wangle invisible in the camouflage, able to add yet another kill. It's a 2 for 2, but both junglers out of the fight. Noz is here, jumping forward from the torn space. Subjugate on towards Kalipito. As this kid just trying to jump away, trying to wait for the torn space cooldown to come up. Noz just going to chase, slow going to hit as well. Nerf on the way. There's the torn space back towards safety. An extended fight, but with both junglers out of the fight, FangBooth is still going to stay alive.
Of course, we will have Nerf already going back to the pit. They know the Kwang's still out for a couple of seconds, so they could potentially start it. But what really was cool to see about that fight was the way that Animosity... We always talk about, like, hey, do you split your team or are you pincering the other? And it really felt like they were pincering Import's backpack in that situation. As they're just going back into the pit, they really want to fight this objective and find some eliminations to get it.
Yeah, Noz has taken a lot of damage, pops to Razorback to reflect some of it back, but it just hasn't been able to find that mark. Now, Import is here as a Kalipito is going to engage again with the black hole. Is going to take some damage from Wangle. It's just a sitting duck from the knock-knock. Good subjugate from Noz, trying to stop the move coming from him, but Animosity diving forward. They're looking for the backline. Julie is still unattacked here and is able to hit some of his abilities. Cynic so low. The damage coming out. Kalipito just deletes the Twin Blast. And now GooRoo jumping on towards Wangle. The FangBooth still hasn't been started, still has been fighting down. Nerf versus Import. Nerf looking the less healthy, and that's going to be Import taking down the opposite member. It's an absolute chaotic fight on the left-hand side now. Mr. GooRoo looks to be the next target. Stoneforge Soul waits till the last moment to heal back as much as he can. Import going low. So is Zeyn. So is Wangle. They're going to hunt for Mr. GooRoo once again, but Import's Tether sets it up once more. Kalipito, good AoE damage to return back. Can't find a kill. Nozer's return. ManofClass is still not finished just yet. They're going to go back to the pit.
Yeah, they really want to go back. And of course, with Zeyn being around as the Narbash, they can do a lot of regeneration. But with all the mana gone, they realize if they go back in, there's a very good chance that especially Kalipito and Cynic can just come back in and delete 1, 2, 3 in a go. Because those health bars were not looking good. And it's really good to see, especially Nerf, the ability to focus out at least one of those ADC carries. You know, being able to pick up either Wangle or their counterpart in the dual lane. But it's not enough because they only find one. And then especially Wangle is the one that stays around for a long time and still does a lot of damage. But at least they're able to keep the Twin Blast down, which is really nice. Wangling and JuliLatina now with Zeyn in the Fangtooth pit. Not really going to be able to go down to this because, of course, you got a giant healing circle around you. And they do it so quickly that there's not even a response possible for Animosity, unfortunately. So that's the third objective, 4th overall. Once again, going to Import's backpack. They keep doing it, and now they're finding themselves in a decent leading state.
Yeah, and it just so happens that whenever Import walks into a pit, he takes the objective. Whether or not that is his team starting it up, or he just walks in and steals the objective away. Honestly, Import has been really putting on a clinic already in this game. As we go back to resets here. Again, all prime still on the table, at least wards down for Animosity. I just want to have a little bit of a longer look at that tab screen whilst we have a bit of a lull stage. We just see some of these items being picked up as well. You know, comfortably free items across the board here as well. I mean, eyes on Wangle and JuliLatina as a double ADC. Wangle actually picking up that 4th item, which is the Combustion. Julie as well hitting on 3 items, Stormbreaker, Sky Splitter, and also that Demolisher as well. A nice free item spike between them, making these frontliners a lot less tanky, at least, and also that free Fangtooth buff making all of them so much more powerful as well, grouping up from Animosity to move members away from that solo side.
I believe Wangle actually picked up the Infernum. I don't think that is there Combustion. It looked a little bit like they're both fireballs.
Okay, yeah, it is Infernum.
It is the Infernum, right?
Thank you, Mano. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, just making sure, because Combustion also, they both make a lot of sense. Like just making sure, right? But yeah, no, also good item pickup, especially in that mid lane. You know, just being able to get that going. But there is now a little bit more threat coming out from, especially from Wangle just in the mid lane, that Wraith. I think that really is still throwing Animosity for a little bit of a loop, the fact that that happened to them. All of a sudden they had to deal with a Wraith at mid. But, oh, look at that. I find Nerf.
Go for the collapse. Yeah, Nerf is
That
just
is the one they
nice.
wanted to find.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're already in position on this right-hand side to start up the All Prime. And they've lost that lost the Slay here as well. So Import just needs to wait for the All Prime to drop below 1,000 HP. And that's just a free secure for them. Animosity grouping up. Kalipito is here. Would take quite the steal to out-secure Import. Not going to happen. They're going to take the All Prime very easily. Now looking to try and find a pick. And they've actually got one. Cynic out of nowhere, caught in no man's land, is going to drop. And now 5 members of Import's backpack going to start barreling up this map. Import to the right-hand side. 4 members in towards the mid lane. The 4-1 split is going to start taking down some of these towers.
Yeah, unfortunately, Cynic a little too split, a little too far forward, maybe a little overzealous. Might be a little bit of miscommunication, like are we going, are we not going? Call not fully made. Kalipito will be able to dodge this, trying to keep Nas under the tower on the inhibitor to get some damage on them. That's not going to happen. Lezduit trying to do the exact same thing. They're trying to delay, but the inhibitor will still fall, and so will Lezduit.
Yeah, Nos in the meanwhile just being such a pain in that right-hand side as well, just being able to fend off multiple members as kills start to drop. Animosity just losing members one after the other. Dominoes, they will fall, much like these inhibitors. A mid lane inhibitor gone, right lane inhibitor is now destroyed, and 5 members. Cynic is back. Nerf is also here as well, but this will be a 5 versus 2. And for Import's backpack, they want to close out this game with a double ADC hitting onto the core. This shouldn't last too long. Nerf maybe have to make the Hail Mary. I don't even know if there is even a word for how much they have to do to try and defend it here. But Import's backpack going to keep them in their base, keep them in the spawn, and let Julie and Wangle hit onto that core. They take this second game and also topping Group A.